It's time for the next edition of the Principles Timeline series here on the Christian Principles Podcast. This month, let's look ahead to May.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation. Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockel. Listen, I have been rarely as excited for a series as I have been for this Principles Timeline because I'm really looking forward to the ending of it. I know you've heard me say it a bunch of times, but we are looking forward to where this winds up and getting it out there for your consumption past just the podcast. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah,
it will end. We will get to the 12th month eventually.
At some point. Yeah.
I dare think, considering the last 2 months that we've done, we might redo some of them in the future.
Enough.
But we'll see. We'll see.
No, we got to leave the original out there so people can come and find us and dig through the catalog.
Yes, we are setting up the month of May. And of course, as we like to do, we're going to start off with some things for you to remember about the month. So I'm going to point out some of the major holidays. May is Military Appreciation Month. Great time to be able to show support to our military. Mental Health Awareness Month. It is also National Strawberry Month, which I grew up picking strawberries for a living. So very much aware when May comes around. Just reminds me of the bitter, cold, dewy mornings.
Oh.
Didn't really like it, but
my strawberry picking was much more recreational. Not paid. I was paying them. So
National Barbecue Month,
had to include this one.
Pull out the grill, let's get it going. Which, I mean, it's not quite as good as Dadgum Day. That's good, but that's I think that was back in April. But National Salsa Month. I don't know if that's referring to the food salsa or the dancing salsa.
It's just a verb or noun. Which one is it?
I don't know, but National Blood Pressure Month, because it knows it's the end of the year, school year. So, of course, we've got to be aware of our blood pressure.
No. It's because it knows it's barbecue month. That's what it is. It knows it's
And then it's also National Inventors Month.
Let's celebrate those entrepreneurs out there.
We get ingenuitive in the month of May.
Well, we're excited. All right, so then the week-long observances. In May 4th through 10th, roughly, we got a lot of weeks in that timeline, either part of that timeline or just in that timeline. We have National Pet Week, Screen-Free Week, which perhaps your school should make sure they take part of. It would be interesting to ditch technology for your students for a week, even the teaching technology for a week. That would be a fun.
I especially love it. Screen-Free Week.
Drinking Water Week. Let's make sure we're always drinking water. Absolutely. National Small Business Week. We celebrate those who make up our school families and their small businesses. Teacher Appreciation Week. Don't forget Teacher Appreciation Week. That's kind of a big one. You gotta make sure you're there for that. North American Occupational Safety and Health Week. We don't necessarily think of ourselves as a dangerous environment to be in, but let's make sure that our faculty staff know exactly what they should be, how they should be lifting, what parts of our buildings are the dangerous parts of our building, so on and so forth. Children's Book Week. Those are all in the first, the first full week of May, and then we have National Safe Sun Week. So this is a good one for us to remember as we jump into the summertime. Yeah, this is the week before Memorial Day, which I just went out of order.
Out in the sun barbecuing.
Yeah, absolutely, because of National Barbecue Month. To follow up with National Blood Pressure Month. But when we have, I included this one because of my wife and our school nurses, but National Nurses Week comes in May 6th through the 12th. This starts on Nurses Day, and we'll see that come up here in the next one with National Women's Health Week starting with Mother's Day. So May 11th through 17th starts on Mother's Day. Then we have EMS Week. We will think about our first responders there. Let's get into the actual individual day holidays.
So specific days just to be aware of, or maybe there's something special you can do on these days if we're in school, if we're in session. May 4th. Do I even have to say it?
May the 4th
be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Star Wars Day. Now, this year it is on Sunday, and I've already asked my own staff since I picked the congregational hymns, like, how many Easter eggs of, like, Star Wars could I sneak into the hymns on Sunday? But, I mean, we don't use the word Jedi, I don't think, but Force, possibly. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, that's incredible.
And then you got Cinco de Mayo.
Mhm.
Of course, that's pretty simple celebration there.
Simple,
May
but
6th.
one you better recognize and you better hang on to.
Yeah.
Man, I
It's-
love me some Mexican. That's amazing.
May 6th, a couple days on May 6th, National Nurses Day, which is a Tuesday this year, I believe. It begins the National Nurse Week. And then National Teacher Appreciation Day, Tuesday also. So Teacher Appreciation Week, but then this is specifically a day if you're
Yeah.
going to do something big, you can pick that day or just keep doing it all
Yeah.
week. But that is a day to emphasize.
And we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go in. That's one of our very first points. So,
And then on May 7th, National School Nurse Day. So in Nurses Week, if you have a school nurse, if you are blessed with a school nurse, celebrate them. Make sure your families celebrate them as well, because what a treasure.
absolutely.
And then May 8th is National Student Nurse Day.
Yeah.
which is the
So
Thursday.
we probably don't have a lot of student nurses that are taking classes. I guess we could have a student who's in line for her associates or his associates, and we can bring their awareness about. But May 11th is Mother's Day. We celebrate you now, Teresa and Carol. We thank you so much.
Mom.
Thank you for listening. It's the second Sunday in May. May 12th is International Nurses Day. It's a Monday. This is the end of Nurses Week. We've said nurses a lot, but of course, Andrea, the wifey
welcome,
poo.
Andrea.
Yeah,
You're
there you go.
We gave you a lot of screen time.
A lot of screen time. May 14th, God's gift to man.
What a day.
What a day.
Let me tell you.
Oh,
This
if
day.
this is a good golf day, this is a good don't come in the office day.
Oh,
This is Matt's birthday. This is Matt's birthday. This is what this day is. So Matt was provided to the greater world on this birthday.
Thank
and
you
he
again,
will-
Mom.
Yeah, he will be 85 this year. So we're excited about that anniversary. Armed Forces Day is May 17th, and it's a Saturday. It's the third Saturday in May, Armed Forces Day. Once again, thank you to those. And then Memorial Day. So we see that Armed Forces Day followed up by Memorial Day, and that's the last Monday in May. And of course, it is the federal holiday in May, so Memorial Day. And Matt, what is the relationship between your school and Memorial Day?
So, Memorial Day is the end. Like that is the benchmark that we're all pressing towards. Once we get that last day off of school, the rest of that week, that is the last week. It doesn't matter what's happened that year. We've been out because of a pandemic or because of a major blizzard that knocked us out for a whole month. We end Memorial Day week. Well, I hope that's the prayer anyway.
No, it's exciting, and that of course is going to mark how we approach this episode, because we are going to approach this episode from a May ending viewpoint. We understand that many of you might be in June. I don't think anybody's going in July, and Matt even mentioned there's some who get out super early, like in early May. So. But we're talking about this as a late May, end of school, maybe into that first week of June after Memorial Day, end of school. So just so you know where we are and how we're approaching this. So first up, celebrate and acknowledge. So we're going to celebrate National Teacher Appreciation Week, which means we're going to have gestures, we're going to have events, we're going to make sure the PTF is involved in this, we're going to ask our students to be involved with this, we're going to involve as many as possible in this week, and especially that day, of course. Let me go back and pull up that day. The actual day is May the 6th. It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
So if you don't do much else that week, at least that Tuesday, really got to be nailing this down. We want to celebrate our teachers. Really, I would say really push your parents on this one.
The big thing I would say with National Teacher Appreciation Week, maybe you are a school that says, well, we don't want to celebrate with everybody else. We just want to celebrate on our own. Just let me say this from experience, from somebody that thought they had the correct National School Teacher Appreciation Week, and it was actually a week early. Parents don't believe you when you tell them we're going to celebrate our teachers this week. And I mean, granted, it does then maybe perhaps pour into 2 weeks of celebrating your teachers, but it could possibly come as not as grandiose as you would like it to be. Yeah. So it is helpful whenever the world is doing advertising for you to remind you that it's National Teacher Appreciation Week. Just, kind of roll with that one.
Yeah,
it's nice. It sets it up for us. And it's, like I said, we're capping off the year and giving that last push, and there's a lot to be thankful for. So,
Yeah.
use that.
Capitalize on that energy they are hearing about anyway. You know what's interesting? You mentioned that if they might roll into 2 weeks of celebration if you do it early. For whatever reason, that bring to my mind the words of wise Miss Pam Witzke. And wise Miss Pam Witzke told me, make sure your date nights every week with your wife are on Thursday nights. And I say, why, Miss Witzke? She goes, then you elongate your weekend that way. And that struck me as a young man, as a young married man. And I decided that if at all possible,
Impressionable youth.
yes, it was very impressionable. I listened to Pam Whiskey. I mean, that was there you go enough. But I that made a mark on me, and I don't do that. But maybe when the kids are gone, I will do that. Maybe when the kids are gone, I will do
Bet
that.
you don't do that.
Because date night is definitely not on Thursday night, not with our present schedule. But maybe in the future, and elongate my weekend that way. All right, we're also making sure that we prepare for graduation ceremonies. Maybe that's your K-5 ceremony. Maybe that's you end at middle school, so it's your middle school stepping off ceremony. Or of course, it's the big one. It's the 12th grade. It's your senior high graduation. We need to make sure that in May, of course, we are well prepared for that, not only with a speaker, but the regalia. Make sure we have the bulletins, make sure we have the brochures. We've made the venue. If we have to leave campus for a different venue, we have, depending on size, we have a hotel bank of rooms open up for people, or we're just working with partners in the area we're letting police know, we're letting those who would keep us secure know that this is one of our big events for the school year. So all those sorts of things we really want to have down. And especially if you're going to live stream that event, make sure that you have good people who are actually helping you with live stream, not making that more difficult on everybody. So perhaps that's event checklist. For some of you who have done it so many times, maybe that's just a checklist in your head, but you need to write it down. We need to write this stuff down. So then we're going to organize the awards ceremony, which is going to make sure that when you do that organization, you're going to wind up making sure that in that organization you have, of course, your awards, or the list of the awards. A big deal for the end of the year award ceremony is making sure that every teacher has the same amount of time to speak.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a day of awards, my last awards ceremony day at my second installment was a nightmare. And it was a nightmare because we had to gather everybody together as we would want to do. We had to do that outside. And we were in a pavilion, and there was a storm that it didn't come up out of nowhere, but we weren't expecting it to be when it was, and it just poured on us. And so I had to make the call over our bad mic system, like, we're going to go back inside now and finish out. And then like 5 minutes later, it stopped. And I was so upset. And there's just, I didn't want to keep everybody out there. I didn't think it was safe. I wanted to get back inside. It was a whole thing. But your award ceremony, make sure your teachers have similar amounts of time, if not literally exact. I mean, I think I said 8 minutes. I think I actually had it down to like 8 minutes. And if you go over this, you're robbing so-and-so of his or her time. So make sure you're not. So make sure your award ceremony is set up and how you want it. If you're going to split that up, if you have everybody go at once, if you make that time any kind of a send off into the summer with administrative wording as well, so there's actually a communication from you as a school administrator, and not just the teachers celebrating. Whatever it is, make sure you're ready to go. So there's lots of celebration this month. Celebrate everybody as best you can, and a lot. Pass out lots and lots and lots of awards, which brings me into conflict with people who are going to say we don't pass out participation trophies. I'm going to have things to say to them, but that's another day. We're just going to allow that sleeping dog to go ahead and continue to rest. Matt, take it over.
Okay, so obviously, as we're looking towards those celebrations, that means we're coming to the end. So we're wrapping a lot of things up as administratively as well. So we've talked for the past couple of months about employment. So you're making sure you're putting the cap on those agreements. You're setting up possibly even like summer schedules, expectations for coming back. We'll talk more of that once school is actually concluded, which I think in June we'll talk about that a little bit more. But you're finalizing those things. If you're not renewing, you need to have that done by mid-May so that they know that they're wrapping up and they're moving on. So you've got a lot going on there. Summer grade recovery packets. So if you have students that are not going to pass a certain class or grade level, you need to start putting out information about how they're going to have to get that accomplished. Perhaps you are a school that does a summer school program for those students, or perhaps you have certain hours that you require of your students, but you want to be communicating that prior to the end of school, making sure parents and students are fully aware of what's expected of them before the month is out. And then this is also a really good one. Think back on the year and put down blessings, answers to prayer that you were able to see as a school that you can share, even as perhaps you have the end of year ceremony or graduation, and you can share those things or be sharing those things even on social media as you go through the month, just to remind your parents, because May does get kind of busy and they might get a little cranky, and those blessings might just say, keep the proper perspective on things.
When speaking about the general culture and atmosphere of May, is a fine balance. You love the energy that comes with people who want to be outside. There's just more energy in the room. But man, you got to be able to redirect that energy. You also have the students who know they're not coming back, so they're going to be flapping their gums about not coming back while they're not coming back. And so there are these pockets of disregard for what the school is attempting to do, or just a general bad attitude. So we want to get through May, securing the energy and using that energy to push forward into the summertime and in the following year. However, at the same time, we got to be aware of the other kinds of energy that are out there. So I like what you said about making sure those blessings are reported, perhaps even over social media. But one of the ways of getting those blessings, if you're having trouble jogging your mind or you didn't keep track over the year when you're doing your year-end report or whatnot, would be to go through your social media pages. And if you've done a good job with social media, you can actually go back and see, of course, what are some things that were accomplished, and your yearbook as well, too. All right, by the way, we're going to talk about yearbook in one of our upcoming episodes, most definitely. As far as data and planning, you're going to have your team meetings that look over the benchmarks that you set for yourself at the start of the year, whether that's your admissions team, if that's your elementary academic team, your secondary academic team, whatever it happens to be. Make sure that those meetings have occurred. And maybe some of those meetings are starter meetings because you're going to have the full-on meeting during out service or during the time the teachers are there to end the school year. If you do keep your teachers there afterwards, if not, all this has to be done before. So that depends on you. And certain schools do it one way, certain schools do it another. We're going to also make sure that we have walked through our testing results. If you have testing results that were taken earlier, end of March, April, and you're getting those back, now's the time that you have everybody together. Now's the time that you might want to go over those. And another thing to point out here would be that if you've walked through your accreditation and you are going to adopt a once-a-month mentality or once-a-quarter mentality of how you're going to review the self-study, which was to make sure it's ready for the next time, perhaps this is also where you take a moment and review that self-study, or a part of that, definitely a part of that self-study anyway. Right. Facilities and operations, Matt.
So with your facility, we're not quite ready unless you are one of those schools that are ending maybe mid-May to close everything up. You don't want to clean too early. I know that's one thing I tend to have to remind teachers, don't just wipe out your room when you still have a week left of school.
Absolutely.
You want it to be normal school all the way through the best you can. But of course, I also understand having the students help, and it is a big part of that. But, prepare your final summer cleaning schedule when they can begin those things. And especially you want to put out that document that's asking them, what are things within your classroom that perhaps need to be repaired or need some attention, maybe a new coat of paint or something like that. If you're gathering that information from your teachers earlier than later is good, so that'll help you as you establish what the summer is going to look like for those responsible for maintenance. That's going to be really helpful. You want to make sure also you're coordinating with custodial staff in May because there's a lot of things going on, especially those graduations. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you need to tweak the cleaning schedule, so don't overlook that or forget that.
If you share it with the church, you want to make sure the church doesn't have, churches are busy in May too, so you make sure that you're working with your church leadership as well, hand in hand.
If you have not finished your required drills for the year, make sure that you conduct those, document those. And then, we just want to make sure that May's a good time, like looking through lost and found, looking through perhaps your teacher's desk. You've confiscated items throughout the year, and you need to make sure those things get sent home. I know
Oh
I've
man.
I've been guilty where I confiscated something, threw it in a box, and totally forgot about it. And 2 years later, I pulled out. Oh yeah, this is Johnny's. Should probably give it back to him. But just put a fresh look on those things, making sure when the end of the year does come, that it's a simple process.
All right. When we talk about all the stakeholders in our ministry, we're going to see more stakeholders in May, most likely because as much as we tried to keep events out of May because there's already a bunch of events in May, we probably had to put a few events in May. So we're going to be seeing a lot of stakeholders, even community members that otherwise may not be showing up to the campus. So we got to be thinking through those community members, the stakeholders. How are we interacting with them specifically in May? Have we planned that out? Do we know what the key dates are, therefore, the key send outs? Are we going to be making, is it the office responsibility to send out to the school board members the invites for the graduations? Do you regularly invite other people to that, like not maybe the mayor, maybe members like the town council, whatnot? Who is invited outside of you? So make sure that your parent organizations have been heard in those situations. Make sure the other key stakeholders that you know who they are have been heard as you develop those things. And you know that there's certain people in your ministries that they expect to have a say in this one particular event because that's been their pet event before or whatnot. So, or they had a real issue with something that you did the previous year. Now's the time on the front side to make sure that you've taken care of that. We can also make sure that for those groups that we meet with, we talked about this before, if you have a social media group, if you have an advertising group, a PTF, if you have a security group, make sure they go into the summertime knowing when you're planning on meeting with them and even what it is you're planning to do. If you're having your leadership retreat, when I would suggest it, not when Matt would suggest it, but when I would suggest it in the summertime, you've made sure that they are well aware of when that is, and May is a good time to push that out. They, hey, make sure you haven't planned through July 15th, 16th, and 17th, because that's when we're getting together and locking the door and nobody's leaving until we're done. And then make sure that if we are going to, I'm sure every year someone will complain about the office communication or the teacher communication. Now's the time, if you're, again, trying to sell to parents that the next year is coming and we're excited about next year and here's some things we're doing. If you are going to retool parent communication, if you are going to change some things up, let them know about it. Let them know it. Throw your hat over the fence and make that just knowledge from the start that they can be excited about for the future, and go ahead and make that actually happen. Write it down. Get the people ready. Run it. If it's just inter-office communication and you can plan and you can practice it in the summertime. But May is a good time to let them know about that sort of thing.
Yeah, because you don't want to wait till the next school year is starting and you've got a brand new process.
Absolutely.
If they have a little bit. If you've got the vast majority of your parents already, having tasted it, that's going to help you in the long run. All right, staffing and development. Hopefully, you've been able to fill all of your positions for the next year. If not, do what needs to be done to continue the hiring process. I know what it's like to be in May and still not have, you have that hole, and you're just praying that the Lord will fill it. And I've also been in August where that's happened too, but just keep going on that one. But when it comes to your teachers that you do have finishing out the year, what's your in-service going to look like? Since we end the week of Memorial Day, that whole week we have set aside as both wrapping up school, but then also doing our in-service activities, so that we can be done by the time of graduation if you make that a goal or a priority. But make sure that is communicated to the teachers so that they're not planning things. Have that scheduled out. Perhaps you've got professional development that you want to sneak in there, or early in the next month. Make sure you even see which teachers need that professional development as well. I know AACS offers professional development over the summer, so you want to communicate that in May as well. Mm-hmm. So if they need to come back and be on site for those opportunities, that they've got their schedule cleared for that.
Who else? You know who else offers development at certain times.
Yeah, there's somebody else I happen to know about that
Yeah,
does
I bet
that.
the Herzog Foundation does that. Let's take a moment. Let's hear from the Herzog Foundation right now.
The Christian Principles Podcast is proud to partner with the Herzog Foundation in our mutual goal to see Christian school educators thrive, to further its mission to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education. The Herzog Foundation offers an array of programs such as online content, up-to-date news, training and events, and hands-on organizational improvement initiatives. Leaders need to head over to the Herzog Institute to find amazing training opportunities for both administration and teachers. Herzog has also become a great hub of the latest news in education through their network of podcasts, including the one provided by yours truly. What a blessing the Herzog Foundation has been. Head over to herzogfoundation.com now so you too can be strengthened by this incredible organization. That's herzogfoundation.com. Just one more thing before we get back to the episode. If Herzog has been a blessing to you and your school, would you mind sending us a message telling us how? We'd love to share that with others. Make sure you check out Herzog and look for their institute. And then maybe even over the summertime, you want to get together with your teachers, even thinking about in service for the next school year. Make sure that's being communicated. I know our teachers always go on a retreat right before our in-service, so we try to make sure we're blocking out those dates. Get that done soon.
All right, so last up, we have the examines. Last up, we have examinations and student progress. So if you're going to have finals in your high school or wherever else, make sure they're well aware of what those finals are. Make sure the teachers are all in line. Make sure the teachers aren't dumping students all on a Tuesday when there's free Wednesday, Thursday, Friday coming up, whatever it happens to be. Make sure that if you are going to exempt students from certain things, one way or the other, low or high, that you've done that and those policies are clearly in place and so everybody's ready for them. Just in general, think through your final exams. Think through the big end of year examinations or projects or binder review or portfolio review. Make sure there's time and celebration lined up for those things. Make sure also that all the teachers have their grades in. So this is half making sure teachers have time for it, half making sure teachers have thought through it, half making sure we have too many halves now, but half making sure that the LMS is actually set up correctly, that someone has put their eyes on, a new set of eyes has reviewed everybody's grades so that we can see where glaring mistakes may have been made, or this one assignment was given 300 points where it's only supposed to be 30, and it has been there for so long now we actually kind of need to do a whole revamp of the other grades. This is the see those things early, see them early, figure them out early. Don't wait to the end. You'll just frustrate yourself and be in the office a lot more when you don't have time to be in the office a lot more that last week. We already mentioned grade recovery plans, but there's also the awards to think through, the honor roll list. Make sure you have those out as fast as possible to post them as soon as possible so we can celebrate them as much as possible. It's the time for teachers to make sure they have their ducks in a row so that we can have our ducks in a row. If you haven't written out, write out that process. Teachers should know that by this date, X, Y, Z needs to be done. So, but by this date, you also share with them, this is what I will do. So that by this date, we can do what we need to do to be successful.
Yep.
All right.
That's May. That's May. Ooh. And we need you guys to help us just like you've already been helping us. What did we miss?
Oh, tell us.
I'm sure.
There's no spring break in May. There's no spring break in May, so we didn't miss that. That's for sure.
As far as
unless somebody else does something.
There might be something else when we look at it. But all right, it is time for our administrator spotlight. And this episode, we are shouting out Christy Targett at Community Christian School at Baraboo, Wisconsin.
Baraboo. I hope I'm saying that right. Any other way of saying that would not be anywhere near as fun.
If you're from Wisconsin, it's probably Baraboo.
Baraboo,
Wisconsin.
All right. Christy happens to be an acquaintance of mine through my teaching at Maranatha Baptist University online. So, Christy, thank you so much for the time we've been able to spend together and for evidencing the strength of study and academic performance which you have. And it's been great to hear more about your school and to see more about your school and to come to know you as an administrator thereof and your plan for excellence there at Baraboo and what you're trying to bring into your school. It's often the case, of course, that our students are the ones who inform inform us, or they teach us, or they give us energy and strength. Christy's that sort of person. So if you're near Baraboo, make sure you get to know Christy. And otherwise, we're just going to celebrate you and pray for you now. Matt's going to pray for you now, Christy, in celebration of who you are and what you're doing there in Baraboo. I can't say Baraboo enough.
Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for Christy and the leadership that she gives there to her school. As principal, and let's pray, Lord, that you would strengthen her, especially as we think towards the end of the school year. A lot of things going on, and I'm sure many struggles and many unanticipated hiccups that might pop up along the way. And Lord, nothing is a surprise to you, and you can continue to strengthen and give her the wisdom that she needs to lead her team, to work with her students and her families. I just pray that she would have a wonderful end to her school year and be able to look forward to the years to come. We thank you for Christy and her commitment to serving you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Serving you in Baraboo. It's too easy.
Wow.
All right, folks. Thanks for going with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.